This video is strictly for educational and documentary purposes. The identities of the individuals involved are censored, and any harassment that may result from this video of any individual discussed is not condoned. Viewer discretion is advised.
CAA, a server that should be for celebration, building, and creativity, has now turned into a crime scene. Because this individual is trying to lie, cheat, and steal his way to our stash of items again. On today's most explosive episode, the predator becomes the prey, as we catch one of the most pathetic creatures to ever join CAA, the furry. We made shocking discoveries while we did our investigation, and proved our doubters wrong. I'm your host, Enchanted Hansen. Sit back and relax while you watch a coordinated catch we did alongside PMV Gamer and Enchanted Wordat on today's episode, Permabanned 2, to catch a predator. For the first and only catch of the night, we have our returning friend named the Furry. He had been banned from the server for over 2 years due to stealing, and then initiates the conversation with,
"Can I get unbanned? I won't steal. I'm not 13 anymore. I can ignore harassment. For the record, I would never think of griefing."
"Want to make a treaty?"
"Sure."
Believing that the furry had changed over the past 2 years, both parties proceed with making a treaty that reads as follows. The basic gist of it was that we, nor the furry, cannot enter or build in each other's bases without permission. The furry also does not owe us any reparations for the crimes he committed in the past, and all of us have to remain civil in our discourse. Once the treaty was signed, the furry was unbanned by the admins. For a short time, there was peace. Some light teasing here and there, but for the most part, everything seemed fine. To the morons at least. However, the furry saw things differently. We would come to find out that the furry has a light fuse when it comes to teasing, which would trigger his kleptomanic tendencies. The morons believed they were operating within the treaty's limits regarding discourse, calling him a furry, beast, thief, etc. However, both parties had different opinions on what counted as civil. Deja vu would hit the enchants as they would begin to notice some small quantities of items missing again. So instinctively, they looked towards the animal. He denied his involvement in it, and the morons would leave him be since they didn't have enough evidence to prove he was actually responsible. Items kept going missing during the course of a week, and the furry would suspiciously be hidden on Dynmap. The enchants had enough, and to show the mammalian that they weren't messing around, they sent 7 wardens from a nearby ancient city to the furry's den through the public nether highway. The furry then has the audacity to ask Morio if he could have some items. They declined, as they suspected him of breaking the treaty and stealing from them, and to their surprise, the furry decides to gift Morio with the first of many pieces of evidence against him, as he Dynmap hides and steps foot onto Morio territory, preparing to steal from their iron farm. There was no confusion that the furry had been breaking the treaty. However, the moron stupidly called him out, which spooked the animal, causing him to leave immediately without taking any items. When they reported him to the admins to do an investigation, there was insufficient evidence to punish the little monster, as they scared him away way too quickly.
Said that if we had a problem with you, we take it to ARB. We did, and nothing happened.
Untrue. There was an investigation. You said that you don't think he took anything. He showed us him inventories and saw nothing.
A 10-minute screen share is totally a worthwhile investigation.
Go ahead, tour my base. I will accept a ban. If you find anything.
You keep missing the point of you said he didn't steal anything.
If it wasn't bad enough, a Morio associate, PMV Gamer, noticed some of his items missing too. Morio instantly looked towards the furry because of his past history of stealing. However, the animal rights activists of CAA believed that Morio had staged the entire thing.
PMV, you could have set him up though. You guys have a hard-on for him. You guys make such a surplus of everything, I don't get why it's such a huge issue.
Because a lot of my items are stolen.
You don't know how it feels to be stolen from in large quantities.
And yet you still have surplus and it's all recoverable within a day or less.
That's like saying you should be able to steal $100 from a millionaire illegally because they still have a surplus.
This isn't real life. This is a game.
This conversation escalated even further when one of the animal rights activists decided to call the morons the D-slur.
I just kind of find it funny the derps are getting a taste of their own medicine, being constantly annoying.
The furry then proceeds to play the victim, obviously a wolf in sheep's clothing, but the vegans still believe him.
You're literally trying to catch me doing something suspicious so you can ban me. Why?
Because they have a hard-on for you, LOL.
True.
Side is being completely determined due to the fact that we are annoying in the past.
No? One no you have to prove. Two you said he didn't steal, then changed your mind with still no proof.
The vegans were only defending him because they did not like the morons and start talking about how Mario had no proof when the proof was clearly right in front of them. The argument ends there for the night, since none of the enchants wanted to waste any more of their time fighting with the vegans, as they had other plans in mind. Furious with how the server was handling the situation, the morons in retaliation released a PSA stating that they will isolate themselves from the server, and to show that they were serious, they blew up Mario-owned public access farms and blocked off their nether highway, affecting the entire server, as they were, and still are, the server's biggest trading partner. As expected, even more people became involved in the situation. The morons were called petty and rude, but they did not care. They wanted justice.
I'm sorry what you blew up a ton of public farms that help a lot of people and didn't think of blocking off the giant hole in the end that could have killed someone over one person. How petty are you? You had a few screenshots that could have been faked, did not look through his base at all to find your evidence by blowing up farms. What are you trying to prove?
Regardless of what you believe to have done, you had no right to blow up a public farm that practically the entire server uses. You are ruining the experience of what is meant to be a chill game for people by indirectly retaliating against entirely unrelated people on this server.
They were our farms, we built them.
What point are you trying to prove by blowing up farms?
I have a better Guardian farm design I was going to build anyway.
Even if they're your farms, your entire plan was literally, hey CAA, the admins don't do anything about the person and bullying, so I'm gonna blow up farms that help others and block off the entrance to my bases.
Time to ban the derps for greffing.
Even though the morons isolated their base from the server, the enchants knew the furry would strike again, so they thought up of ways to prevent him. As they were spying on the furry with Dynmap, they noticed that player names turned transparent gray periodically. The morons thought that he was just shifting or sneaking, until CAA legend Enchanted Wordat proposed the idea that he might be invisible. They tested out his hypothesis and found that going invisible does indeed hide you from Dynmap. Wordat would bring this information up to the admin Arborum, who both knew each other very well. He convinced Arb to grant them a spectator account, which we would use in our sting operation. After spending all night waiting for the beast to bite, the furry logged on, and we were ready for him this time. It's 9:13 on a warm summer morning, and the furry joins CAA. Seeing that the nether highway to his favorite hunting grounds are blocked off from the night before, he decides to take the treacherous journey through the nether wastelands. He flies, digs, and sprints thousands of blocks for his prey, our items. As you can see, the animal employs the use of invisibility potions to not only camouflage himself in-game, but also on Dynmap. He finds a stash of shulkers left over by us and scours through them, looking for something valuable to take. But there's nothing, just cobblestone. The furry then finds the nether portal to New Morio's stash and sneakily passes through it. It seems as if he's unfamiliar with the layout of our base, the Moriersk, like he's not supposed to be there. So, the beast forcefully breaks into the boat's hull and jumps into it. He dashes into the smelting room of the base and rummages through the shulkers and chests within it. He then takes an empty shulker for later use from the outer edges of the cluster, so as to not raise any suspicions, and continues his buffet of items. The furry would log off for a short while, but when he returned to continue his hunt for our items, we decided to get up close and personal with him by looking into the same shulkers and chests he was in. As you can see, he takes out unvaluable items from the shulker box and fills it up with some of the items he stole earlier to save up some space to take more later. And then there goes a netherite chest plate, and a netherite hoe. Then jackpot. 3 mending and unbreaking 3 elytras. He proceeds to move the minecart into another shulker, then fills up the shulker with the elytras in it with some of his haul, to again make some more space to steal more. Once he feels he has done burglarizing the smelting room, he moves on to the deck of the ship, where most of our items are stored. Here we can see a chest left behind by CAA legend Enchanted Wordat, with most of his items in it, hoping to keep them safe for later. The furry places a shulker box right next to it and proceeds to transfer the items from the chest into his stolen shulker. The animal then enters the storage containers on the ship, where we have meticulously organized our items for our use. He refills on his invisibility potion, as the effects were wearing off, in order to continue his hunt. Finally, he finds where all the valuable items are kept. The furry makes the bold move of stealing a whole shulker box filled with music discs. And then a whole shulker box of elytras. Once satisfied with his haul, he flies away back to his base, thinking he got away with it. Morio would stream this undeniable evidence to the entire server, and finally silence their doubters. After the fox was proven guilty, the admins would decide, to the disappointment of Morio, not to permanently ban him this time, as he was one of the more active players on the server. However, the admins made a compromise with all parties involved, where the furry was quarantined in his base and was unable to leave within a 3,000 block radius. A similar deal was made with Morio, where they could not enter his protected habitat. Morio would also reopen and rebuild their farms with better designs over the next couple of days. The furry is still active on the server, and after demonstrating good behavior for a year, was released from house arrest. Let's hope he changed his ways after learning the same lesson 3 times. I'm your host, Enchanted Hansen, and this has been Permabanned 2 to Catch a Predator. Thank you, and good night. You grief my base and you steal all my stuff. 3 times is way more than enough. You broke my build, gonna get killed. Goodness gracious, great blocks of fire. I unbanned you cause I thought that you changed, but it turns out that you're still just as deranged. I've changed my mind, you're not as fine. Goodness gracious, great blocks of fire. Fight me, you noob. Ooh, you lack skill. Log off, you noob. The admin should have kept you banned forever. Oh, my ores, they're not yours. This just as a server's lore. I grinded hard just to build my base up. Took me a while, but it sure was fun. Come on, you noob, you're driving me crazy. Goodness gracious, great blocks of fire. Well, fight me, you noob. Ooh, you lack skill. Log off, you noob. The admin should have kept you banned forever. Oh, my ores, they're not yours. This is as a server's lore. I grinded hard just to build my base up. Took me a while, but it sure was fun. Come on, you noob, you're driving me crazy. Goodness gracious, great blocks of fire.
I only left because if I heard any more, I'd get the urge to steal again.